Hey, this is Mark Washington with the latest episode of 3 to Make 2, all your everything, all NBA. And we're going to start out with the Knicks and the Pacers and that series and where the Knicks stand now that the Pacers has eliminated them. And at the time of this taping, now the Pacers are down 1-0 to Boston. But we wanted to talk about the Knicks and what's left of New York and what they are going forward. And a lot of it is the Knicks have proven they're not the old Knicks. Remember the old Knicks? They just would sign a bunch of names, a bunch of pieces that did not fit. And they always end up being disappointing. And this is turned into just the blue collar, kind of the 90s type when they had the Oakleys and the Masons and the John Starks and those guys and a bunch of blue collar guys. And that's what the Knicks have now. You know, the Josh Harts, the Isaiah Hartensteins, who they're going to have to try to re-sign. And those type of guys that help build this team through injuries to, among others, Julius Randle. And so what the Knicks, it's how much of your assets, which they have been good at keeping, do you use? And then what type of player? Does Donovan Mitchell really fit with this team? Or is it better to have a Mikal Bridges? Do you just go forward and say, hey, let's see if this team can stay fully healthy and re-sign Hartenstein and a couple of other guys and just kind of build around the fringes? Do you do that? And that's going to be a big decision on how the Knicks move on, how they deal with it, and whether this can be sustainable. A lot of things bounced their way. They fought through a lot of injuries. The OG trade ended up being great, but then he ended up getting injured. And so for the Knicks, it's a very important offseason, and it's an important offseason based solely on decision-making and whether they can act responsibly. If you believe in Leon Rose and his front office, then you think the Knicks will end up making the right decision. The Denver Nuggets were the defending champs, up by 20 points at home in Game 7 with the best player in the world, and they blew the lead. And Mike Malone kind of chopped off the head of a media person who asked about how do you feel and that stuff and called it a dumb you-know-what question and all this sort of things. And to the Denver Nuggets, I say grow up. You guys were the biggest trash talkers, stunning, trolling the Knicks and everything else. And you guys took that one championship and you just threw it up in everyone's faces. And so when you have Game 7 at home with the best player in the world and you blow it to a team that had no pedigree, they have a star, Anthony Davis, and Anthony Edwards, and then obviously they have Cat and Gobert, who haven't won anything significant. But when you act the way that you acted when you did win, and then you get upset when you lose and you act like that you're, above reproach, I just say, nah, man, you talk that trash, you get everything that comes back with it when you lose. So next time when you're successful, because the Nuggets will be successful, next time when you're successful, act like you've been there. The Los Angeles Lakers are looking for a coach. And as I've said before many times, you have to get the coach that fits your roster. And so that's been a difficult question. They have tried a veteran coach that has a resume. They've tried a first-time coach who is kind of the up-and-coming. Neither one of them got the results that they would like to have. So what's next for the Lakers? It's the most important hire they've had in a generation. And what's next is, who's going to fit with AD? With LeBron probably on his last contract, you're not building around LeBron James. Whether it's, 2-year deal, 3-year deal, 1-year deal, it doesn't matter. Your coaching search has to be for AD and what the Lakers plan on building around him, especially once LeBron leaves. So if that's J.J. Redick, that is J.J. Redick, even though he has no coaching experience. If that's Sam Cassell, longtime assistant, who has paid his dues, that's Sam Cassell. If it's, a veteran that's out there now that they're looking at, then it's the veteran. But the bus and all the buses in their brain trust need to get this one right. You can't afford to get this one wrong with LeBron at his age and AD getting up there, and AD is off injured. So the head coaching hire for the Los Angeles Lakers might be the most important in a generation for what they're going forward as they move out of the LeBron James era, an era that will be looked upon with mixed reviews. I think it's one of those eras that will show somewhat like Jordan, but a little bit more than Jordan when he was with the Wizards. LeBron has shown that at his age, he still has it, man. But outside the one title, team success hasn't been there. With Michael, when he went to the Wizards, there was no success there. Michael still had his nights where, you know, he kind of looked like the old Mike, but in a different way. But they didn't win anything. At the very least, LeBron won something with the Lakers. They did win a title. So, and they did get to a Western Conference Finals. So for the Lakers, it's Anthony Davis, what's going to fit once you get the coach, the style, and then moving forward, what's going to fit with the roster as you move out of the LeBron James era into the Anthony Davis era. So for the Lakers, there's not an easy answer. And it's not just the Lakers, it's any team now. Where do the Wizards go? The Wizards tried Wes Unseld Jr., a young upcoming guy who had paid his dues. That did not work. The Bucks tried Adrian Griffin when they felt like Budenholzer's voice was no longer being heard in the locker room. That was a disaster. That does not mean that Budenholzer would be great in Los Angeles, just like it didn't mean that Vogel was going to be great in Phoenix. The coaching world of the NBA is not as cut and dry as we've seen in other sports. It is really franchise to roster specific. Where you are in terms of the CBA, where you are in terms of the salary cap, whether your owner wants to definitely avoid the second apron or the first apron, and how much they're going to pay in tax. All of that stuff goes into who you're going to hire a coach. And for the Los Angeles Lakers, it's their turn to make that decision, and it's going to be an important one. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of 3 to Make 2. This is Mark Washington from MTC Media.